Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck, confused by financial jargon, and ready to finally take control of your money without giving up the things you love? Then you're in the right place. In this video, we're diving deep into I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, a no-nonsense, witty, and insanely practical guide to personal finance. This book isn't about restriction or deprivation. It's about freedom, empowerment, and smart money decisions. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or trying to clean up some past missteps, this book offers a proven 6-week program to help you automate your finances, build wealth, and live your version of a rich life on your terms. This summary is proudly brought to you by Detailed Book Summaries, where we break down powerful books into clear, insightful, and actionable lessons. We've done the reading for you so you can get straight to the life-changing ideas without spending hours flipping pages. You'll learn how to optimize your credit cards, start investing the right way, automate your savings, crush your debt, and, most importantly, spend guilt-free on the things that bring you joy. So if you're ready to stop doubting your financial decisions and start building real wealth, stick around. And don't forget, if you find this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another transformative summary. Let's dive into I Will Teach You to Be Rich and take the first step toward building the life you've always wanted. In I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi opens a door to financial transformation by first addressing an essential element, our mindset. Right from the start, he challenges a common belief that achieving financial success requires sacrificing enjoyment in life. He argues that the secret to wealth is not to restrict yourself to a life of frugality and guilt, but take control of your finances while still living a life that feels rich and fulfilling. In the first chapter, Sethi introduces a concept of a rich life. And it's important to understand that this isn't about chasing a fixed image of wealth that society has created. For some, a rich life might mean enjoying extravagant vacations or splurging on luxury items, while for others, it might involve spending more on family experiences or saving for financial freedom. The key here is that your version of a rich life is unique to you. What matters is that you spend intentionally on the things that bring you joy and value, while simultaneously being strategic in how you manage your money to secure long-term financial stability. Sethi's central argument is that you should stop feeling guilty about spending on what you love and instead focus on aligning your money with your values. But why does guilt play such a big part in our relationship with money? Many people grow up with negative associations about wealth, thinking that spending money means being irresponsible or selfish. Sethi addresses this head-on by arguing that these negative emotions are misplaced. Money, in his view, is just a tool, one that can either work for you or against you, depending on how you use it. And enjoying life's pleasures doesn't need to come as a side of shame, as long as you're making conscious financial decisions that support your bigger goals. This leads to one of the book's central concepts, conscious spending. Sethi dismisses the traditional idea of budgeting, which often focuses on tracking every single expense and restricting purchases. Instead, he advocates for an approach that's about prioritization, not deprivation. He encourages readers to focus on spending generously on what matters most to them, while cutting back ruthlessly on the things that don't. For example, if you're someone who values eating out, Sethi would say it's perfectly fine to allocate more money for restaurant meals, but you should be more frugal when it comes to things like clothing or gadgets that don't add significant value to your life. By focusing your resources on what you truly value, you're spending more wisely and intentionally. This approach removes guilt from your spending because you're no longer mindlessly buying things out of habit or societal pressure. Another powerful idea that Sethi introduces in Chapter 1 is the concept of automation. He emphasizes how much easier it is to build wealth when you set up automated systems for saving and investing. For example, setting up automatic transfers from your checking account into your savings or investment accounts can ensure that you're consistently putting money aside for your future, without having to rely on willpower or remembering to do it each month. Automation takes the emotional decision-making out of the equation, and as a result, you're more likely to stick with your savings plan. This helps you build wealth passively, without having to worry about actively managing it day to day. Sethi also tackles a common barrier to financial success, limiting beliefs about money. He believes that a lot of people have been conditioned to think that money is something to be feared or avoided, whether it's a belief that money is hard to come by or the idea that "I'll never be good with money." These negative thoughts often hold people back from taking control of their financial future. Sethi challenges this mindset by showing that financial success isn't reserved for a select few. Anyone, regardless of their background or starting point, can build wealth if they're willing to make the effort. The trick is to shift your beliefs about money and adopt a mindset of abundance. Once you start seeing money as a tool to create the life you want, it becomes much easier to take action and make decisions that align with your long-term goals. By the end of Chapter 1, Sethi has laid the groundwork for the rest of the book. He's helped readers understand that their financial success is in their own hands and that it's not about perfection. It's about creating systems, being intentional with your spending, and aligning your financial actions with your life goals. He stresses that making progress doesn't require a complete overhaul of your lifestyle. Instead, it's about small, consistent changes that add up over time. The most important takeaway from this chapter is that you have the power to design your financial life on your terms. Whether that means traveling the world, paying off debt, or building a nest egg for the future, it's about taking conscious control of your finances and making decisions that lead you toward the life you want to create. In Sethi's view, financial success isn't a distant dream reserved for the lucky few. It's something that anyone can achieve with the right mindset, strategy, and execution. This chapter is a starting point for the 6-week program that follows in the book, and it sets the tone for everything that's to come. It's not about quick fixes or radical transformations, but about making intentional, smart decisions that align with your unique values and goals. Sethi's approach isn't just about making you rich. It's about making you feel rich regardless of the size of your bank account. It's about designing a life where money works for you and helps you live the life you've always wanted. The first chapter is just the beginning. And from here, the journey to financial independence and success unfolds. Chapter 2 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich dives deep into the basics of creating a strong financial foundation by focusing on the importance of building good habits and systems that make money management simple and automatic. Ramit Sethi emphasizes that achieving financial success isn't about constantly monitoring your bank account or obsessing over every expense, but rather setting up systems that work for you without requiring constant attention. The theme of this chapter is that it's the small, consistent actions, like setting up automatic transfers for savings, that lead to big results. Right at the start, Sethi stresses that many people get overwhelmed by the idea of managing their money. Whether it's saving, investing, or budgeting, the process often feels daunting. However, he assures the reader that it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, he believes that with the right systems in place, managing money can become almost effortless. One of his key principles is the idea of automation, which he introduces in this chapter as a game changer for financial success. Automation removes the need for willpower, which tend to fail us when it comes to long-term goals like saving and investing. When you set up systems that automatically allocate money to your savings, retirement accounts, and investments, you're guaranteeing that you're making progress toward financial independence without requiring constant attention or effort. The chapter starts by helping readers recognize the value of setting up automatic transfers. Sethi suggests that you set up an automatic system to transfer a percentage of your paycheck directly into savings or investments as soon as you receive it. By doing so, the money is set aside before you even have a chance to spend it. This technique ensures that saving becomes a non-negotiable priority, rather than something that might get forgotten at the end of the month. Sethi argues that this approach is more effective than trying to remember to save or spending first and saving whatever's left over. The concept of paying yourself first is a fundamental part of this strategy. The next step in this process is tackling the credit card debt that many people struggle with. Sethi encourages readers to avoid the trap of just paying off the minimum balance and instead recommends paying off credit card debt aggressively. He suggests using the debt snowball method, where you focus on paying off the smallest debt first and putting as much money as possible toward that debt. Once the smallest debt is paid off, you take that same amount of money and apply it to the next debt on your list, creating a snowball effect of debt repayment. This strategy helps to build momentum, which can keep you motivated as you start seeing your debts disappear. Sethi also discusses the importance of understanding your spending patterns. In this chapter, he encourages readers to take a hard look at where their money is going each month. This doesn't mean that you need to go through every single purchase with a fine-tooth comb, but it's helpful to be aware of areas where you might be overspending. For example, He points out that many people tend to overspend on lifestyle creep, those small, often unconscious upgrades to our lives that add up over time. For instance, it could be a premium subscription service you don't really need or that extra drink at happy hour every week. Sethi emphasizes that being aware of these habits doesn't mean cutting out everything that brings you joy, but rather being intentional about your spending. Sethi introduces what he calls the conscious spending plan. This is essentially a strategy for understanding your finances in a way that allows you to enjoy life now while still planning for your financial future. The goal is to consciously direct your money toward the things that matter most to you and to cut back ruthlessly on expenses that don't add real value to your life. This allows you to enjoy your money without guilt, knowing that you're making the best use of your resources. Moreover, Sethi stresses that spending consciously is not about depriving yourself, but about prioritizing your spending. He advocates for spending generously on the things that bring you the most joy, whether that's travel, eating out, or living in a beautiful home, while trimming unnecessary costs on things that have little meaning to you. For instance, if you're passionate about fitness, it might be worth investing in a top-tier gym membership or workout classes. But if you rarely watch TV, there's no need to pay for a premium cable package. Conscious spending enables you to focus on what truly enhances your life. The chapter also touches on the concept of mental accounting. This refers to the way we mentally separate our money into different buckets, which often leads to mismanagement. For example, some people treat their savings as a separate pot of money that's only to be used for emergencies or large purchases, rather than integrating it as part of a larger strategy for financial growth. Sethi encourages readers to be more strategic in their thinking by treating all their money as part of a holistic financial plan, instead of compartmentalizing it. Additionally, Sethi dives into the importance of investing, but he keeps things simple and approachable. Instead of encouraging complex investment strategies that might intimidate beginners, he recommends starting with something straightforward and low maintenance, like a target date retirement fund or index funds. The key takeaway here is that investing early and consistently, even in small amounts, can have a compounding effect over time. Setting up automated contributions to your investment accounts, just like your savings, ensures that you're building wealth consistently and without even thinking about it. The second chapter of I Will Teach You to Be Rich offers the tools to start transforming your financial life with ease. The overarching theme of this chapter is that financial success doesn't require overwhelming effort or constant financial micromanagement. Instead, it's about building strong financial habits, like setting up automation, prioritizing spending, paying off debt aggressively, and investing consistently. These systems give you the freedom to enjoy life now while securing your future. By the end of the chapter, readers should feel empowered to take charge of their finances, knowing that they have the tools and strategies to make their money work for them. The message is clear. Financial success is within reach if you're willing to put in the work up front to build the right systems and habits. In Chapter 3 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi dives into the essential topic of how to handle credit cards, debt, and bank accounts in a way that will propel you toward financial success. The chapter revolves around practical strategies for optimizing your finances, including how to manage your credit cards intelligently, avoid the common pitfalls of debt, and set up the best bank accounts that support your goals. The key takeaway here is the importance of making smart choices that allow you to leverage credit to your advantage while avoiding high-interest debt that can trap you. Sethi opens the chapter by addressing a subject that's often feared and misunderstood: credit cards. For many, credit cards are a source of anxiety, especially when it comes to managing debt and understanding the various fees and interest rates. But Sethi believes that credit cards, when used wisely, can be powerful tools in building a strong financial foundation. The important lesson here is that you should never let credit cards control you. Rather, you should control your credit cards, using them strategically to improve your credit score and earn rewards without accumulating high-interest debt. One of the core strategies Sethi recommends is to use credit cards for purchases that you can afford to pay off in full each month. This is key to avoiding interest charges, which can quickly pile up and undermine your financial progress. He emphasizes the idea of earning rewards without falling into the trap of overspending just to collect points or cash back. The best way to earn rewards without getting into debt is by using your credit cards for purchases that you make anyway, and then paying them off before the bill is due. This way, you get the perks without paying extra in interest. The ultimate goal is to take advantage of the benefits of credit cards without getting bogged down by the negative aspects of high-interest debt. Sethi also covers the importance of credit scores in this chapter. Your credit score plays a significant role in your ability to get loans, credit cards, and even secure favorable interest rates. A good credit score can save you thousands of dollars over the course of your life, which is why it's crucial to pay attention to how it's built and maintained. One of the ways to improve your credit score is by making sure you're paying off credit cards on time and keeping your credit utilization ratio, the amount of credit you're using relative to your total available credit, low. Sethi provides clear and actionable advice on how to raise your credit score, like paying down your balances and avoiding unnecessary credit inquiries. In this chapter, Sethi also talks about how important it is to avoid bad debt while building wealth. He emphasizes that high-interest debt like credit card balances is the enemy of wealth creation, and paying it off as quickly as possible should be a priority. By getting rid of this kind of debt, you free up more money for saving and investing rather than wasting it on interest payments. Sethi suggests using a systematic approach, where you tackle the highest interest debt first and then move on to other debts. Ramit also discusses the importance of retirement accounts, such as a 401k or an IRA. He explains how these accounts can help you save money on taxes, while also growing your wealth over time. He advises making the most of employer-sponsored retirement plans, especially if your employer offers matching contributions. By contributing enough to get the full match, you essentially get free money for your future. As the chapter progresses, Sethi gives readers a strategy for achieving their financial goals. Set clear, concrete goals for saving and investing, automate everything you can, and then focus on the areas where you want to spend money and cut back on areas that don't align with your values. He gives practical steps for setting up automated transfers and explains how to start investing with little money up front. He emphasizes that the key to building wealth is starting early, staying consistent, and being patient. The ultimate message in Chapter 4 is that financial success doesn't require perfection or drastic sacrifices. Instead, it's about building a system that works for you, where you make the most of your money without overthinking it. By automating your finances, adopting a conscious spending plan, and focusing on long-term investing, you can build wealth over time without feeling deprived or restricted. The goal is to make your money work for you, so you can enjoy the present while also securing your future. Chapter 4 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich provides a blueprint for saving and investing that's both practical and achievable. The key to financial success is not perfection, but rather consistent, smart choices and creating systems that make wealth building effortless. By automating your savings, cutting back on unnecessary expenses, and focusing on long-term investing, you'll be well on your way to building a rich and fulfilling life. Chapter 5 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi is focused on mastering the art of investing for your future and setting yourself up for long-term financial success. In this chapter, Sethi demystifies the world of investing, providing clear and actionable advice on how anyone, even beginner, can start investing and build wealth. He tackles everything from retirement accounts to low-cost index funds, all while emphasizing that investing doesn't have to be complicated or intimidating. Sethi begins by addressing the common fear or uncertainty that many people feel when it comes to investing. He explains that the idea of investing can often feel overwhelming, especially for those who have no experience in the field. However, he reassures readers that the key to successful investing is not having a vast knowledge of the stock market, but rather starting with a simple, long-term approach that doesn't require constant monitoring or complex decisions. One of the main takeaways from this chapter is the importance of investing early. Sethi emphasizes that time is your greatest ally when it comes to building wealth. The earlier you start investing, the more time your money has to grow, and the more powerful compound interest becomes. Even small contributions made consistently over time can snowball into substantial sums. He uses the example of someone starting to invest at the age of 25 compared to someone starting at 35 to show how significant the difference can be when it comes to building wealth over the course of a lifetime. Sethi also explains the concept of compound interest. Essentially, the interest you earn on both the initial amount of money you invest, the principal, and the interest that money has already earned. This snowball effect means that the longer your money is invested, the more it will grow with less effort on your part. He stresses that this is why starting early is crucial and why you don't want to wait until later in life to begin your investing journey. As the chapter unfolds, Sethi introduces readers to the concept of index funds, which he believes are the best investment option for most people. Index funds are a type of mutual fund that aim to replicate the performance of a specific market index, like the S&P 500. They provide broad market exposure, low fees, and are generally a safer and more efficient option compared to individual stocks or actively managed funds. Sethi recommends investing in low-cost index funds that track the entire market, as they give you diversification, which spreads out risk and tend to outperform most actively managed funds over the long term. Sethi also highlights the importance of keeping investment costs low. He notes that many people are unaware of the high fees that can eat into their returns over time. These fees, often associated with actively managed funds, can significantly reduce the growth of your investments. He encourages readers to avoid high-fee funds and opt for low-cost index funds, which typically charge much lower fees. By doing so, you keep more of your money working for you. Another key concept discussed in this chapter is asset allocation, which refers to how you divide your investments among different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, and real estate. Sethi explains that your asset allocation should be based on your goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon. For example, if you're young and just starting out, you can afford to take more risk and have a higher proportion of stocks in your portfolio. On the other hand, if you're closer to retirement, you may want to shift to more stable, conservative investments like bonds. Sethi emphasizes that having a diversified portfolio can help protect you from market volatility and smooth out the ups and downs of the market. One of the most important pieces of advice Sethi provides in Chapter 5 is that investing doesn't require constant monitoring or obsessive tracking. Many people are tempted to check their investments frequently or try to time the market, but Sethi advises against this approach. He explains that market fluctuations are normal, and attempting to predict short-term movements is futile. Instead, he advocates for a set-it-and-forget-it strategy where you automate your investments, set long-term goals, and allow time and compound interest to do their work. Sethi also discusses the different retirement accounts available, including 401k, IRAs, and Roth IRAs. He provides a clear explanation of each type, highlighting the benefits and tax advantages they offer. For example, a 401k allows you to save for retirement while receiving tax benefits, and many employers offer matching contributions, which essentially give you free money. A Roth IRA, on the other hand, allows your investments to grow tax-free, meaning you don't pay taxes on the earnings when you withdraw them in retirement. Sethi strongly recommends taking full advantage of these retirement accounts, particularly if your employer offers matching contributions to your 401k. As the chapter wraps up, Sethi emphasizes the importance of staying committed to your long-term financial goals and resisting the temptation to make impulsive decisions based on short-term market movements. He encourages readers to take a disciplined approach to investing, stick to their plan, and avoid reacting to market fluctuations. With patience and consistency, anyone can grow their wealth over time. In summary, Chapter 5 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich serves as a comprehensive guide to investing for beginners. Sethi demystifies the process, providing readers with practical advice on how to start investing early, keep costs low, and create a diversified portfolio. He encourages readers to embrace a long-term mindset and explains how to leverage the power of compound interest, index funds, and retirement accounts to build lasting wealth. By following the principles outlined in this chapter, anyone can set themselves up for financial success and start growing their money with confidence. Chapter 6 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi is focused on optimizing your finances by automating your money. This chapter is a game changer for anyone looking to build financial freedom and avoid the constant stress of money management. Sethi's main message here is that once you set up an automated system for managing your money, you can significantly reduce the time and effort you put into handling your finances, while also ensuring that you're on the path to building wealth. Essentially, this chapter is all about making your finances work for you, so you don't have to constantly be on top of them. Sethi starts by explaining how most people tend to think about money in a reactive way. They check their balances, make decisions based on what's in their accounts, and constantly feel the burden of financial management. However, Sethi argues that the secret to achieving financial success and peace of mind is to make your money automatic. By automating the key areas of your finances, savings, investments, and even bills, you can avoid the mental load that comes with managing money on a daily basis, and you'll be free to focus on what really matters. The first step Sethi advises is to automate your savings. He explains that when you save manually, it's all too easy to skip a month or delay saving when unexpected expenses pop up. But with automation, you can ensure that you consistently save money, even when you're not thinking about it. He recommends setting up automatic transfers from your checking account into your savings or investment accounts on a specific day of the month. This way, the money is transferred before you even have a chance to spend it, and you'll never have to worry about forgetting to save. It's all about paying yourself first, before anything else. Sethi takes this a step further by suggesting that you automate your retirement contributions. This can be done through employer-sponsored retirement plans like a 401k, where contributions are deducted directly from your paycheck. By automating your retirement savings, you're ensuring that your long-term financial goals are always a priority, even when the short-term demands of life may try to pull you in different directions. This is particularly important because retirement savings often get overlooked, and people tend to delay saving for retirement, thinking they'll start later. But the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow through the magic of compound interest. Another part of automating your money is automating your bill payments. Sethi stresses the importance of setting up automatic bill payments for your utilities, rent or mortgage, and other recurring expenses. This helps you avoid late fees, missed payments, and the stress of trying to remember when everything is due. By having your bills paid automatically, you're also simplifying your life. The money is withdrawn from your account at the same time every month, leaving you with more mental space to focus on other things. Sethi also discusses how automating your finances can help you avoid the trap of overspending. When you rely on a manual process, it's easy to overlook small expenses or forget to track your spending. However, when everything is automated, savings, bills, and even investments, you're less likely to spend money on things you don't need. You won't have to check your bank balance or make decisions about how much you can afford to spend. Instead, you'll simply have the peace of mind that comes with knowing everything is taken care of. A big part of this chapter is also about how automation frees up your time and energy. Instead of spending your evenings reviewing your finances or stressing over money, you can focus on building your career, working on personal development, or enjoying time with loved ones. The more you automate your finances, the less you have to think about money on a day-to-day basis. This gives you the freedom to live a life that's less dominated by financial concerns and more aligned with your personal goals. One concept that Sethi introduces here is the idea of setting it and forgetting it. He compares this to the classic saying about investing, where you make your decisions and then let them run their course without constantly checking or adjusting them. This philosophy applies to automating your finances as well. Once you've set up your automatic savings and investments, you don't have to constantly think about them. Your money works for you in the background while you focus on other important aspects of your life. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of being consistent with automation. Even if you don't have a large amount of money to save or invest right now, it's important to start with what you can. Sethi notes that consistency is key. Over time, the small amounts you put aside every month will build up, and as your financial situation improves, you can increase your automatic contributions. The key is to start small, but start now, and the system will build on itself. Sethi also explains how automation can help you manage different types of accounts, such as your checking, savings, and investment accounts. He recommends using a separate account for savings and investing so that you're not tempted to dip into funds for everyday expenses. By creating separate buckets for different purposes, emergency fund, long-term savings, retirement, you give yourself clear guidelines for how your money should be used. This ensures that your financial goals are met without the temptation to use that money for something else. In summary, Chapter 6 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich is about creating a financial system that works for you automatically. Sethi walks you through the benefits of automating your savings, investments, and bill payments, making it easier to manage your finances and reach your financial goals without constantly thinking about money. By setting up automatic transfers and payments, you free up mental energy and create a financial system that aligns with your long-term goals. It's a simple, effective way to make sure that you're always prioritizing your wealth building efforts, no matter what else is going on in your life. This chapter encourages you to take control of your financial future with minimal effort, ensuring that you are building wealth without all the stress and complexity that often comes with managing money. Chapter 7 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi dives into the importance of investing your money wisely. The focus of this chapter is on making your money work for you through smart investments. Sethi emphasizes that in order to grow wealth over time, it's essential to understand the basics of investing and take action rather than letting your money sit idly in savings accounts with little to no interest. The chapter starts by addressing the common misconception that investing is only for the rich or for people with background in finance. Sethi reassures readers that investing is accessible to everyone, and in fact, it's one of the most powerful tools for building long-term wealth. He points out that while saving is important, it's not enough on its own to achieve financial freedom or to keep up with inflation. By simply saving money and not investing, you're losing out on the potential for growth. This is why Sethi argues that learning to invest is crucial for achieving a richer life. Sethi explains the different types of investment options available, such as stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. He encourages readers to avoid the temptation of trying to pick individual stocks or engaging in market timing, which can be risky and often leads to poor outcomes for most people. Instead, he advocates for the strategy of passive investing, particularly through low-cost index funds. Index funds are designed to track performance of an entire market or sector, which means they offer a diversified portfolio of stocks or bonds without the need for you to pick individual stocks. The beauty of index funds is that they have lower fees compared to actively managed funds, and historically, they tend to outperform them over time. The idea behind passive investing is that over the long term, the market tends to rise, and by investing in a broad index fund, you are essentially betting on the market's growth. Sethi explains that passive investing is a great strategy for people who don't have the time or expertise to actively trade stocks or monitor individual investments. It's a set-it-and-forget-it approach that requires minimal attention but offers solid returns over time. This approach fits perfectly with the automation principle discussed earlier in the book, as it allows you to set up an investment strategy that runs on autopilot while you focus on other aspects of your life. Another key concept introduced in this chapter is the importance of starting early. Sethi underscores that the earlier you start investing, the more time your money has to grow due to the power of compound interest. He uses the example of two people who begin investing at different ages. One starts at 25 and the other at 35. Even though the person who starts at 35 invests more money, the person who started at 25 will likely end up with more money by the time they both reach retirement. This is because compound interest allows your money to grow exponentially over time, which is why the earlier you begin investing, the more time you have for that growth to happen. Sethi also talks about the emotional aspect of investing. It's common for people to feel anxiety or fear when it comes to the stock market, especially when they see the market go up and down. However, Sethi argues that the key to successful investing is sticking to your strategy and not letting short-term fluctuations dictate your decisions. He recommends staying calm during periods of market volatility and remembering that the goal of investing is long-term growth, not short-term gains. A successful investor doesn't panic when the market goes down, but stays committed to their strategy and takes advantage of market dips by continuing to invest. He also addresses the issue of fees and how important it is to keep them low when choosing investment products. High fees can eat away at your returns over time, so Sethi advises readers to focus on low-cost investment options, such as index funds, which have minimal fees. He explains that paying attention to fees is one of the simplest ways to increase your investment returns without having to take on additional risk. Sethi also stresses the importance of understanding risk and return. He explains that every investment carries some level of risk, but with that risk comes a potential for return. When you're building your investment strategy, it's essential to strike the right balance between risk and reward based on your individual financial goals, time horizon, and risk tolerance. For example, if you're young and have decades until retirement, you can afford to take on more risk and invest in assets that are likely to give higher returns. But as you get closer to retirement, you'll want to gradually reduce your exposure to risk and shift towards more stable investments like bonds or cash. A significant part of this chapter is dedicated to teaching readers how to make their first investment. Sethi walks readers through the process of opening an investment account, choosing a fund, like an index fund, and setting up automatic contributions. He explains that getting started with investing doesn't require a large amount of money. And in many cases, you can start with as little as $50 or $100. The key is to start and to make regular contributions that align with your financial goals. Sethi also provides readers with tools to track their investments, manage their portfolio, and stay on top of their financial situation. He discusses the importance of regularly reviewing your investments to ensure that you're on track to meet your long-term financial goals. However, he emphasizes that you shouldn't obsess over short-term market movements. Instead, focus on the bigger picture and the long-term strategy that you've set for yourself. In conclusion, Chapter 7 of I Will Teach You Be Rich is all about demystifying the world of investing and empowering readers to take control of their financial future. Sethi makes a case that investing is not only for the wealthy, but is essential for everyone who wants to achieve financial success and independence. By focusing on low-cost, passive investment strategies, starting early, and automating your contributions, you can take advantage of the power of compound interest and grow your wealth over time. The key takeaway from this chapter is that investing doesn't have to be complicated or risky. It's about staying consistent, keeping fees low, and committing to a long-term strategy that aligns with your goals. Investing is not something to be feared, but rather something that should be embraced as a fundamental part of your financial journey. Chapter 8 of I Will Teach You Be Rich by Ramit Sethi is focused on the myth of financial expertise and the idea that you don't need to be a financial expert to achieve financial success. The key message in this chapter is that many people get caught up in the idea that managing money is complicated, requiring sophisticated knowledge of financial markets, or that you need to understand every minute detail to be successful. But Sethi argues that this is simply not true. In fact, most successful people do not become rich by being obsessed with the minutiae of finance or by trying to become experts. Instead, they follow a simple, automated approach to managing their money. The chapter begins by addressing the fear and anxiety that many people feel when it comes to finances. Sethi explains that most people believe that in order to make smart financial decisions, they need to read every financial book, listen to every podcast, and stay on top of the latest financial trends. While educating yourself is important, he makes the case that obsessing over financial expertise can become a barrier to success. It can lead to overthinking and inaction, which ultimately keeps you stuck in a cycle of financial indecision. Sethi challenges this common belief and encourages readers to embrace the idea that simplicity and automation can be more effective than trying to become a financial expert. One of the key points Sethi makes in this chapter is that a lot of personal finance advice is based on creating complexity to seem like a path to success. Many financial advisors or gurus want you to believe that the only way to make significant money is to analyze market trends, pick individual stocks, and make investment moves based on predictions about the future. However, Sethi stresses that this type of thinking is often a distraction and causes unnecessary stress. Instead, Sethi advocates for a straightforward and predictable approach to money management that doesn't require financial expertise, but is instead rooted in automation, discipline, and consistency. One of the most significant ideas he presents in this chapter is the importance of simplicity. Rather than worry about trying to understand every detail of finance, Sethi emphasizes setting up automatic systems that take care of the complicated work for you. This includes automating savings, retirement contributions, bill payments, and investments. By setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to savings or investment accounts, you remove the temptation to tinker with your financial decisions. This eliminates the need for constant decision-making and keeps you on track to meet your goals without spending excessive time and energy on financial matters. Sethi also introduces a concept of decoupling financial success from the idea of extreme financial expertise. He points out that financial planning doesn't have to be about mastering every complex concept in personal finance. Instead, it's about doing the basics well. By following a few key principles, like automating your finances, living within your means, avoiding high-interest debt, and investing in low-cost index funds, you can build wealth without needing to be an expert in the field. Sethi breaks down these principles into a simple and actionable plan that anyone can follow regardless of their knowledge of personal finance. Another major takeaway from this chapter is that many financial experts and professionals complicate personal finance to make it seem more exclusive or complex than it really is. By offering convoluted strategies or touting expensive services, they prey on people's fears and insecurities about managing their money. Sethi calls this financial pornography, a tactic where financial services or advice sound complex or sophisticated to make it seem like you need expert knowledge to succeed. He insists that the truth is far simpler. You don't need to be a financial expert to take control of your money. In fact, most successful financial strategies are straightforward and rely on basic principles that anyone can implement. Sethi also emphasizes that financial success is about consistency over time. It's not about making a huge, one-time change or finding some magic formula. It's about making smart, incremental decisions, like automating your savings and investments and keeping your expenses low. That will pay off in the long run. This is why, in Sethi's view, the best financial strategies don't require expertise. They just require action and the willingness to make small, consistent changes to your habits. The chapter also explores the idea that wealth building is not about short-term gains or the pursuit of the next big thing in the financial world. It's about staying the course and focusing on things that are proven to work over time. Sethi uses the example of index fund investing to highlight how low-cost, passive investing is far more effective for most people than trying to pick individual stocks or chase the latest financial trend. By investing in broad market index funds, you ensure that your money grows steadily without the need for constant intervention or stock-picking expertise. Sethi also debunks the myth that personal finance is a one-size-fits-all approach. He encourages readers to create a plan that works for them based on their personal goals and life situation. Some people may want to focus on building a large retirement account, while others may prioritize paying off debt or saving for a home. Regardless of the goal, the strategy remains the same: automate, keep things simple, and take consistent action. Ultimately, Chapter 8 is about freeing yourself from the illusion that you need to be an expert in personal finance to succeed. By embracing simplicity, focusing on proven strategies, and taking consistent action, anyone can achieve financial success. You don't need to become a financial guru or spend hours every week analyzing markets. You simply need to automate your finances, avoid complexity, and stay consistent with your approach. By doing so, you will have more time, peace of mind, and ultimately, a much better financial future. This chapter is an empowering reminder that financial success isn't about mastering complex financial concepts. It's about taking the right steps, simplifying the process, and sticking to a plan that works for you. Chapter 9 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi is titled The Myth of the Financial Expert, and focuses on debunking the myth that you need to be a financial expert or spend countless hours learning about the financial markets in order to achieve financial success. This chapter is particularly empowering because it challenges the idea that you need to constantly be researching, analyzing, or even obsessing over money in order to manage it well. Sethi starts by addressing the overwhelming feeling many people have when it comes to their finances. The advice from financial experts can often feel intimidating and complex, making it seem like only those with specialized knowledge or financial degrees are capable of succeeding. Sethi pushes back against this narrative, encouraging readers to let go of the belief that they need to become financial experts to achieve their financial goals. One of the core ideas in this chapter is the belief that financial success can actually be simple. While it's true that financial advice can often be dense or difficult to digest, Sethi's message is clear. You don't have to be a financial guru or an expert stock picker to build wealth. The key, he argues, is following a few proven steps that most people overlook in a rush to find the next big thing in finance. Sethi emphasizes that you don't need to be able to predict the stock market or time your investments perfectly. In fact, the more you focus on trying to predict markets or trying to get rich quickly, the more likely you are to make mistakes. Instead, the path to financial success involves creating a solid financial foundation through basic, repeatable actions. Automating your savings, creating a budget that works for you, investing in low-cost index funds, and living below your means are all the strategies that Sethi highlights. These are simple yet effective strategies that, over time, will compound to build wealth. A key part of this chapter is Sethi's discussion of the concept of financial experts And how many of them make money by selling complicated advice or pushing expensive financial products? Financial advisors, Sethi argues, often do not have your best interests at heart, and their advice is usually overly complicated to create a sense of exclusivity or importance. These financial professionals often push you to focus on complicated strategies, expensive tools, or high-fee investment products that ultimately don't contribute to your wealth-building goals. Instead, Sethi emphasizes that the true financial experts are those who have developed and applied basic strategies that work consistently over time. You don't need a financial degree to make smart decisions about your money. Sethi points to simple, automated strategies as the key to managing your finances with ease. His argument is that you can get to the same outcome, financial success, without being bogged down in unnecessary complexity. The chapter also addresses a problem of financial advice overload. In the age of the internet, there is an overwhelming amount of conflicting advice. Whether it's blogs, podcasts, or social media influencers, everyone seems to have an opinion on what you should be doing with your money. However, Sethi cautions that this deluge of information can lead to decision paralysis, where people end up doing nothing because they can't decide on the best course of action. Sethi encourages readers to embrace the idea that you don't need to be an expert to make sound decisions. Rather than try to learn every detail of every possible investment, you can succeed by focusing on the basics and automating your financial decisions. Sethi also emphasizes the importance of knowing when to stop researching and start acting. He uses the example of someone spending years researching which credit card or investment account is the best without ever actually opening the account. This type of analysis paralysis is a common problem in the world of personal finance. People often feel the need to understand every single option before making a decision, which leads to a delay in taking action. Sethi suggests that once you have enough information to make an informed decision, it's time to take action. Perfection is not the goal. The idea is to avoid getting stuck in a cycle of overthinking and to start making decisions that move you forward. In addition to addressing the overabundance of advice, Sethi also acknowledges that many people think that personal finance requires an overwhelming level of discipline. The truth, he explains, is that you don't have to be super disciplined to manage your money well. Instead, it's about consistency and making your financial systems automatic. By setting up automatic transfers to savings and investment accounts, scheduling bill payments, and automating debt payments, you remove the need for constant effort and self-discipline. The key is to set things up once and let them run, freeing you from a mental load of having to manage every aspect of your finances manually. Sethi also talked about the importance of focusing on the larger financial picture instead of obsessing over small, short-term decisions. He uses the example of people who obsess over finding the perfect coupon for groceries or try to save a few dollars on their monthly cable bill. While saving money is important, Sethi points out that it's the larger financial decisions, like investing for retirement, automating your savings, or eliminating high-interest debt, that truly impact your long-term financial success. If you spend all your time on minor details, you miss the bigger opportunities for financial growth. Finally, the chapter wraps up with a powerful message. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't need to be an expert to succeed financially. The real secret to building wealth is not complicated. It's about automating your financial systems, making smart, simple choices, and sticking to them consistently. Financial success, according to Sethi, is not about mastering every detail. It's about being consistent, making thoughtful decisions, and letting your money grow through smart and automated actions. Chapter 9 is an essential reminder that the journey to financial freedom doesn't require you to be a financial expert. By focusing on the basics and automating your finances, you can achieve your financial goals without the need for constant learning, overthinking, or complicated strategies. Keep it simple, take action, and trust that your financial systems will work for you over time. In Chapter 10 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit Sethi makes a bold but vital claim. Investing is the single most important thing you'll ever do with your money. This chapter serves as a powerful call to action and demystifies investing for the average person, breaking it down into simple, accessible steps. It's not about becoming a Wall Street expert. It's about understanding how the power of time and compound interest can build wealth beyond what most people ever imagine. Sethi begins by addressing a common fear. People are terrified of investing. Why? because they believe it's risky, complicated, and requires a lot of financial knowledge. But Ramit flips that idea on its head by saying, not investing is actually the bigger risk. If you leave your money sitting in a savings account, inflation will quietly eat away at its value. Meanwhile, the people who take the step of investing, even if they're not experts, will watch their money grow significantly over the years, thanks to the power of compounding. He makes it super relatable. Imagine two people, one who starts investing $100 a month at age 25, and another who waits until age 35. Even if the second person invests more money later on, the first person almost always ends up with more by retirement. That's how powerful starting early is. It's not about being perfect with timing or choosing the best stock. It's about getting the game early and staying consistent. The chapter also clears up another huge myth, that investing means gambling on individual stocks or constantly watching the market. Nope. Ramit is a firm believer in low-cost, long-term index funds, which are basically baskets of hundreds of stocks that mirror the overall market. The idea is that instead of trying to beat the market, which even professionals often fail at, you can own the market and benefit from its long-term growth. It's like saying, I don't want to be the best player in the game, I just want to be on the winning team. Sethi then introduces readers to the concept of target date funds, which are a type of mutual fund that automatically adjusts your investments as you get closer to retirement. These are ideal for people who want a set it and forget it option. You pick a fund based on the year you plan to retire, say 2050, and the fund automatically becomes more conservative as that year approaches. It's a simple way to invest wisely without needing to rebalance your portfolio every year. One of the most important educational points in this chapter is understanding the difference between saving and investing. Saving is about short-term goals, like building an emergency fund or setting money aside for a vacation. Investing is about the long term, building wealth over 10, 20, or 30 years. You need both, but they serve different purposes. If you're saving money and not investing, you're likely missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Ramit also touches on the importance of automating your investments. Once you've set up your accounts for a 1K, Roth IRA, or taxable brokerage account, you don't want to rely on willpower to invest every month. Instead, set up an automatic transfer so money is invested before you even see it. That's the secret to building wealth without stress. Automation. The beauty of Ramit's advice is that it doesn't require you become obsessed with your money or learn everything there is to know about the stock market. You don't need to watch CNBC every morning or study charts like a day trader. Instead, you set up your investments correctly once, in good funds with low fees, and let them grow. Your job is to keep putting money in regularly and leave it alone. He also warns readers about fees. Many people don't realize that high fees can quietly eat away at your returns, even more than a bad year in the market. That's why Sethi emphasizes low-cost index funds and being aware of what you're being charged, especially when working with financial advisors. If you're paying 1% in fees over a few decades, that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. He shows clear examples of how seemingly small percentages compound into huge differences in your retirement fund. By the end of the chapter, Sethi's message is loud and clear. Investing isn't just for the rich or the finance geeks. It's for you. The earlier you start, the more powerful the results. And it doesn't have to be complicated. If you automate it, choose the right accounts and funds, and stay consistent, your money will grow while you focus on living your life. This chapter is less about specific investing techniques and more about a shift in mindset. It's about moving from fear to confidence, from procrastination to action. If you've ever said, I'll start investing when I have more money, or I don't understand investing, this chapter is your wake-up call. You don't need a lot to start. You just need to start. In short, Chapter 10 is the beating heart of the book. It takes the fear out of investing and replaces it with practical, step-by-step guidance that's both educational and empowering. Ramit Sethi doesn't just teach you how to be rich. He shows you how to think like someone who will be. Chapter 11 of I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi is a refreshing take on personal finance that focuses not on restriction, but on liberation through intentional choices. In this chapter, titled Conscious Spending, How to Save $100 per Month and Still Buy What You Love, Sethi challenges a traditional notion of budgeting and introduces a powerful, realistic alternative, the conscious spending plan. This approach shifts the conversation from what you can't do with your money to what you want to do with it. It's an empowering and practical way to manage finances without sacrificing joy or spontaneity. Ramit begins by acknowledging a common pain point. Most people think budgeting means depriving yourself. When people hear the word budget, they imagine cutting out all fun, obsessively tracking every penny, and feeling guilty for indulging in anything even remotely enjoyable. It's no surprise that most people give up on budgeting quickly. It feels restrictive and unsustainable, like a diet that only serves to make you miserable. But that's where conscious spending flips the script. Instead of enforcing limitation, it embraces intention. It allows you to spend freely, even extravagantly, on the things you love, as long as you're cutting ruthlessly on the things that don't matter to you. The conscious spending plan divides your take-home income into 4 buckets: fixed costs, investments, savings, and guilt-free spending. Each category has a specific purpose, and the plan is flexible enough to adapt to your personal life situation. The first bucket is fixed costs, which typically take up 50 to 60% of your income. These are the essential, non-negotiable expenses like rent, utilities, car payments, and minimum debt payments. Ramit encourages readers to keep these costs in check and avoid lifestyle inflation, the phenomenon where your expenses grow as your income increases. Next, he allocates 10% of your income to investments, whether it's a 401k, Roth IRA, or a personal investment account. This category ensures you're paying your future self. The key, according to Ramit, is to automate this. Automation makes it easy to stay consistent without needing to rely on discipline or willpower. Savings take up another 5 to 10% of your income. This isn't your retirement fund. It's for medium-term goals, like taking a vacation, buying a new gadget, or preparing for a big life event like a wedding. Again, automation plays a big role here. You set it up once, and the money quietly builds in the background without effort. Finally, the crown jewel of the conscious spending plan is the guilt-free spending category, which makes up about 20 to 35% of your income. This is where people often feel they fail at budgeting by spending on lattes, dinners out, or concert tickets. But Ramit flips that guilt into permission. If you love something, whether it's designer clothes, travel, gourmet food, or video games, and you've planned for it, then go ahead and spend. With this framework, you don't have to feel bad about treating yourself because it's part of the plan. What's truly insightful about this chapter is Ramit's emphasis on value-based spending. Conscious spending doesn't mean spending less. It means spending better. You identify what genuinely brings you joy and satisfaction, and you prioritize those things. At the same time, you ruthlessly eliminate spending on things that don't matter to you. Maybe you couldn't care less about cable TV or upgrading your phone every year. That's where you cut. But maybe travel lights your soul on fire. That's where you spend more. It's all about alignment. Ramit also dives into the psychological side of money management. He talks about invisible scripts, which are the unconscious beliefs we carry about money, often formed in childhood or shaped by society. Things like, I shouldn't spend money on myself, or talking about money is rude. These scripts can influence our decisions without us even realizing it. Ramit encourages readers to identify these beliefs and replace them with healthier, more intentional narratives. One of the most powerful messages in the chapter is that you don't have to be frugal to be rich. In fact, frugality for its own sake can be a trap. Instead of trying to squeeze pennies, focus on making smart, intentional choices that reflect what you truly value. Conscious spending isn't about sacrifice. It's about design. It's about creating a life you love, supported by a financial system that works for you. In wrapping up the chapter, Ramit reminds us that freedom comes from clarity and control, not restriction. When you know where your money is going and why, you feel more confident, less stressed, and more empowered to make decisions that support the life you want. The conscious spending plan gives you that clarity. It's simple, flexible, and most importantly, sustainable. In essence, Chapter 11 is a financial philosophy as much as it is a strategy. It's a call to reject guilt and scarcity, and instead embrace abundance and awareness. It's about making money work for you, not the other way around. And in doing so, you're not just managing your finances. You're designing a rich life on your own terms. Chapter 12 is a culmination of everything Ramit Sethi has shared throughout I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It ties together the systems, strategies, and mindset shifts into one central, motivating idea. What does a rich life actually look like? And how do you live it? This chapter isn't about numbers, budgets, or investment vehicles. It's about purpose, values, and vision. It's where the conversation about money transcends into a conversation about meaning. Ramit opens a chapter by challenging a common assumption that a rich life is all about wealth in the most traditional sense: big houses, fast cars, luxury vacations. But he's quick to point out that this vision is often someone else's. He urges readers to dig deep and ask themselves a far more personal question: what does a rich life look like for you? And here's where the chapter becomes really powerful. A rich life isn't one size fits all. For one person, it might mean being able to travel the world for 6 months out of the year. For another, it could mean buying every book they want without thinking about the price. It might mean taking your parents on a vacation they could never afford, or simply feeling free of financial stress. What matters is that your rich life reflects your own values, not what society, influencers, or even your parents think it should be. Sethi encourages readers to literally write out what their rich life looks like. Get specific. Name the experiences, freedoms, and relationships that money can support. This vision becomes your personal compass, a reference point for every financial decision you make. When you're clear on what you really want, it's easier to say no to things that don't align with it. Instead of blindly chasing more, you focus on what matters. He also talked about the idea of moving from defense to offense in your finances. Up until now, much of the book is focused on optimizing spending, saving, paying off debt, and automating investments, all crucial but mostly defensive moves. Once you have these systems in place, though, you can start playing offense, growing your income, negotiating salaries, building a side hustle, or investing more aggressively. You built the foundation. Now it's time to build a dream. One of the standout moments in this chapter is Ramit's reminder that money is a tool, not the goal. So many people get caught in the trap of endless saving or investing, never actually enjoying the rewards. Others spend impulsively, never aligning their spending with their real values. A rich life balances both. You save, invest, and grow your money so you can spend it meaningfully, whether that means buying back your time, creating unforgettable experiences, or making a difference in others' lives. Sethi also touches on emotional and psychological aspects of money. He acknowledges that even once you're financially stable, you may still experience guilt or fear around spending. That's why he reinforces the importance of conscious spending. Because when you're intentional and in control, there's no need for guilt. You plan for this. You earn this. To help ground the concept of a rich life, Ramit shares real-life stories from readers who've used the system. People who paid off credit card debt, invested their first $1,000, bought their dream home, or created businesses that gave them freedom. These stories prove that this isn't just theory. It's a system that works for real people with real goals. In closing, Ramit emphasizes that a rich life is a choice. It's not something you stumble into. You create it by being intentional with your money, clear on your goals, and consistent with your actions. And the best part? You don't have to wait until you're a millionaire to start living it. A rich life starts now, with the decisions you make today. This chapter is less about what to do and more about why it matters. It invites readers to rise above the daily grind of money management and start thinking big, to design a life that feels rich in every sense of the word. Ramit Sethi doesn't just want you to be financially successful. He wants you to live a life of purpose, joy, freedom, and abundance. And that's what makes this chapter, and the whole book, so impactful. Chapter 13, titled The Myth of Financial Perfection, acts as a timely reality check, especially after 12 chapters of learning how to build a money system, invest wisely, and make confident financial choices. In this final chapter, Ramit Sethi tackles one of the most paralyzing beliefs people have when it comes to money: the idea that everything has to be perfect before they start taking action. And he makes it very clear that kind of perfectionism is not only unrealistic, it's a recipe for failure. This chapter is a conversational, down-to-earth reminder that imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. So many people, Sethi argues, are waiting for the right time, when they have more money, more knowledge, more confidence, or fewer obligations. They get caught in analysis paralysis, endlessly researching the best bank, the best mutual fund, or the perfect budgeting tool. But here's the truth. The most successful people with money are the ones who just start. Ramit explains that money, like life, is messy. You're going to make mistakes. You might choose the wrong investment once, overspend on something stupid, or forget to automate a bill. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Financial success comes from consistency, not flawless execution. If you've been reading the book and haven't started yet, this chapter is your kick in the pants. One of the most powerful points Ramit makes here is about the emotional burden people carry when it comes to money. There's shame, guilt, regret, especially if they've made mistakes in the past. But he emphasizes that your past does not define your future. Whether you're in debt, haven't saved a penny, or feel overwhelmed, the best thing you can do is take your next small step today, even if it's tiny, even if you're unsure. The action itself builds confidence. He also tackles a sneaky barrier to progress: comparison. It's easy to look at others, your friends, co-workers, influencers online, and feel like you're falling behind. But Ramit encourages you to stop measuring your success against someone else's highlight reel. Your journey is yours alone. A rich life is one that's designed by you for you. And that means accepting your current situation and building from where you are, not where you think you should be. Another key lesson from this chapter is that you don't need to optimize everything. Too many people waste time trying to wring out an extra 0.1% return on an investment or switch credit cards for an extra $10 in rewards. Ramit wants you to zoom out. Focus on the big wins, like automating your savings, investing consistently, negotiating your salary, and avoiding debt. These are the moves that actually move the needle. Getting hung up on the tiny stuff is just procrastination in disguise. Toward the end of the chapter, Sethi reminds you that your financial system doesn't have to be fancy to be effective. In fact, the simpler it is, the more likely you are to stick with it. If you set up automatic transfers to savings and investments, track your conscious spending, and check in once a month, you're already doing better than most people. Don't underestimate how powerful a simple, repeatable system can be over time. Finally, this chapter closes with encouragement. Ramit tells you that you're more prepared than you think. You've learned the framework, you understand psychology, and you have the tools. Now it's about execution, not perfection. He urges you to trust yourself and take action today, not tomorrow. Because the longer you wait, the more opportunity you lose. And the truth is, you don't need to know everything to start. You just need to begin. In essence, Chapter 13 is both a reality check and a pep talk. It strips away the pressure of perfection and replaces it with a much more empowering mindset, one of grace, action, and progress. It's a brilliant ending to the book because it gives readers not just knowledge, but the permission to start messy, stay consistent, and create a rich life that's perfectly imperfect and uniquely theirs. And there you have it, the complete roadmap to financial confidence, clarity, and long-term wealth, all from Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich. This isn't just another money book filled with outdated advice or guilt-tripping you into skipping lattes. It's a modern, relatable, and refreshingly honest guide that gives you the tools and mindset to take real action without sacrificing the things that make life enjoyable. From mastering your credit and bank accounts to automating savings and investments, and even navigating big conversations about money in your relationships, Ramit breaks it all down in a way that feels doable and empowering. By following the 6-week program and embracing guilt-free spending, you're not just becoming financially savvy. You're designing a life that reflects your values, goals, and definition of success. This summary was brought to you by Detailed Book Summaries, your go-to source for digestible, insightful breakdowns of the most impactful books out there. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future summaries that can change your life, one book at a time. Remember, living a rich life isn't about having more. It's about knowing what you want and having the financial power to say yes to it. So take what you've learned today, apply it, and start living the rich life you truly deserve.